Noah, go ahead.
Hey, bud, thanks for the time. Got a few questions for you. First off, with Alan Trejo being sent down to Albuquerque, what do you think he needs to work on in Albuquerque so he can get called back up in the near future?
Well, I think with Alan, he just needs playing time. I think last year, such a tough year for so many players, not having a season, and Alan's one of those guys that missed the whole year. He was here in Denver with our alternate site, playing inter-squad games, coming off a season in AA. I think he was penciled to go to AAA last year. So I think more than anything, just playing time. And again, I think I've said it a number of times that, his strength increased. I thought his range increased. I just thought his overall playability was better than what we saw, from our scouting reports and from what our player development people said about Alan. But again, I think there's some, things with his swing can get a little big at times, shortening the swing. I think the chase rate that we talk about with all our players from what we saw here, there's a little bit of chase here. I'm not overly concerned with his chase rate because this is the first time he saw big league pitching. I think he's the type of player to make quick adjustments. So I see that improving in AAA, where the pitching is better than it was in AA. But again, I think just can just continue to sharpen his skills and his game. He just needs at bats. He'll get them in AAA. Even though now, last night I heard that he dislocated his finger on a slide, so that's a setback for sure. That's a bummer. He'll be out of action for a while, at least a number of weeks to let that heal. I'll dig into that a little bit deeper in the next couple of days or two when docs have a look at it and see just how bad this is, whether anything's broken or not. But he's a good player. He had a really good spring training this year. I thought that, he had really made strides in all areas. But I don't think there's one specific thing, Noah, that he needs to work on, except just play at the AAA level. I know he can play defense here. I think his head works the right way. He's got good baseball instincts. He has a chance to help the Rockies organization in the future, for sure.
And secondly, I know, especially lately, there's been a lot of player comparisons to players in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. And there was one this past week that Mark Grant, who obviously well from your time in San Diego, made with Chichi Gonzalez. And I want to kind of see your reaction of it. That is Chichi Gonzalez compared to Bob Tewksbury.
Well, I think with I think you can make the comparison that they're both right-handed pitchers who rely a lot on changing speeds and moving the ball around. I think if you watch a video of Tewksbury, you'll see that he has a really big 12-6 breaking ball. You look at when I think back to Tewksbury, I think of a two-seam sinker to both sides of the plate, a good changeup, but a real big slow breaking ball that that Chi doesn't quite have that type of breaking ball. Chi's more of a sinker, a little slider, a little cutter, a little changeup that he gets his outs with. Not so much the big slower curveball, but sort of a field pitch right-handed pitcher for sure. You can make that comparison. I think the stuff's quite a bit different.
Yeah, I think more of the comparison was having arm issues early in their career and having to go to the changing more.
I thought just more about the stuff.
Yeah. So, and then lastly, today there were some allegations made by former MLB catcher Eric Kratz, who faced you guys in the 2018 NLDS, and he claimed that you guys were cheating in 2018 with a massage gun and banging it on the metal bench in the dugout and using a TV. Do you have any comment on that?
Not really.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Patrick?
Good afternoon, buddy. How are you?
I'm well. How are you, Patrick?
I'm good, buddy. Thank you. Two-part question regarding Brendan Rodgers. What potential do you see for him this season in particular? Second part of the question, what potential does he bring to the offense and the team as a whole for this season?
Well, I think there's an opportunity. There's the potential of opportunity. To really gain footing as a major league player. I think there's going to be opportunity for him to play along with a lot of guys. Patrick, as you know, whether it's Josh, whether it's Garrett, whether it's Daza, I think Mac and Taffy have sort of settled in to, based on what they've done the last couple of years to be considered, Rockies that are going to play and play pretty regularly. Dom Nunez is getting an opportunity, as is Elias Diaz behind the plate. And I think Brendan falls into those, along with those guys, is getting an opportunity to, to establish himself as a major league player, and not, potentially in a small sample. Hopefully that he'll perform well enough to, continue to get his at-bats as will those other guys and solidify himself as a player. Second part of that question, I think, the offensive upside is what we're excited about, based on his skill level as a hitter. I think his swing plays in the big leagues. It's a short stroke that has power that, generates, we feel it could be extra base hit and homer power. We've seen flashes of that. And we haven't seen what I think our eyes will eventually see, yet in his 100 or so at-bats. But if spring training is an indication, and a little bit of what we saw last summer camp, if he's real close to showing us the hitter that he can be. There's going to be some challenges, right? Facing big league pitching again, and seeing the stuff that big league arms are throwing these days. There's an adjustment, but we feel because of his talent, his swing, his approach, that he can help the offense.
Cool. One more from me. Have you made a decision yet regarding Kyle Freeland rejoining the Rockies next week in New York?
Kyle's here. He came out of last night's start very good. Like I mentioned before, there's a really good chance that he could pitch in New York. Again, we're going to see how he recovers. And like I said, I saw him today. He feels good. He'll probably throw a bullpen tomorrow, and we'll assess that, see how he feels physically, and then probably determine that, tomorrow or Sunday.
In a nutshell, buddy, what have been the impressions of the staff down at Albuquerque and what you've seen, et cetera, about where Kyle is right now? Is he back to being the Kyle Freeland he was, say, last year or 18?
I've read the reports. I texted with Warren Schaefer last night. He told us that Kyle looked great. He felt as though he's ready. Same thing came from the pitching coach via game report. I talked to Schaefer live 3 or 4 days ago after his start against El Paso, and he indicated, the same thing out of that El Paso game. So we are really optimistic that his return, how he feels arm-wise, is how he left spring training. And it shows the thing of the past. He's healthy and ready to go.
Excellent. Thank you, buddy.
You got it.
Thomas? Yes, buddy. Wanted to ask you about Carlos Estevez. I saw him just walk off the field here and 3 strikeouts last night, high velocity. Are you going to activate him today? Is he ready for that yet?
We're not going to activate him today, Thomas. We're going to give him a day off. He pitched last night through close to 20 pitches. I saw the video. I saw his inning yesterday. I thought he looked good. I think the pulley finger issue is behind him. Hopefully, those do have a chance to reoccur. But based on Carlos's was the last week, that he feels that's gone. There's no pain. Through a couple sides, he threw a simulated game in San Diego. He threw 1 inning in real competition last night in Albuquerque, and he's reported that he feels 100% with the finger. So, really good chance he could be activated tomorrow and be fresh and ready to go, along with the rest of the.
Okay, yeah, one more on Carlos. That pulley tendon in the finger, I've seen some cases. Jorge De La Rosa came up where you have that, then for some reason, later on, you have to really watch the elbow. Is that one of the reasons why you took some time with him?
Well, actually, it was sore. We took time because it was sore that needed to heal. I think the throwing motion delicate, both the elbow and the shoulder. I think there's, many causes for arm injuries. Whether a pulley finger is directly to the elbow. Like it is because it likes it that those tendons and muscles sort of go all the way up to your through your forearm and up to the elbow joint. But this was more about just the finger healing and not so much about worried about the elbow.
Okay, buddy. Also on Rodgers, the last couple of times he's come up, to a certain degree, maybe the playing time wasn't, guaranteed, or he was kind of competing there. Is this more you ride with him, and if he struggles, you see how he gets out of it? Is this the time to really say, hey, you're a big league player, let's take the governors off, let's see what you can do?
Well, like I said prior to Patrick, I think, all these guys, it's going to be a great learning year to go from start of spring training to the end of the year, potentially on the major league roster. And it's a long year. Freeland gets, 500 at-bats, and he's about a month behind, a little bit more than a month behind. I can't say that for sure, but, we're going to give him opportunities like we are tonight. We're also going to play, McIntyre, Anderson, Daza, Nunez, Fuentes, to keep this whole group of players current and playing. But we're hoping that Rodgers, in time, takes grasp of the position and holds it via performance. And let's see what he can do, because I do feel mentally and physically he's in as good a spot as he's been since we've seen him in major league camp, in spring training, and a couple of times that he's joined us in the big leagues. To show what he can do. I think he's now to the point where I think he's as confident as he's ever been in his swing, his health, and mental, ready to take on this challenge of being a big league. Whereas before, I'm not quite sure he was in that great spot.
Okay. Last one from me on Rodgers is, I know you're trying to win games, but at times maybe do you give Trevor a little bit more rest and also get a look at Rodgers at short?
Yeah, when Trev gets a blow, Rodgers, with this present roster, will play short. We know we have Hampson there, who's a college shortstop and was a minor league shortstop. He can play there. We had Trejo here to pick up Trev for, but you'll see, Brendan probably logging those innings at short that Trevor does not play.
Thanks, buddy.
Okay. Is that good?
Couple more. Nick, we'll go Nick and then Owen to wrap it up. Go ahead, Nick.
Yeah, hey, buddy. And actually, Thomas, if you can hear me, can you mute yourself, please? Come on. Thank you. Buddy, just to follow up on that, but in a more general sense, because I can see your sort of machinations, I think, but I need to ask you about it.
Please.
With your roster in general, I know there's a lot of desire to see Brendan Rodgers back, but it's led to a little bit of awkwardness where you've benched the National League Player of the Week, basically. Are you
Josh is going to play tomorrow.
Okay.
Give you a heads up.
Okay, cool. Are you in a spot though where you're kind of juggling a little bit?
That's fine.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like you're juggling a little bit.
I don't know. I think if you look at the big picture of the 650, 700 at bats for a guy that plays every day, those guys probably probably aren't going to get that. Rodgers included. And I sort of said that prior, Nick, that this is a long season for young players to go through this. They'll need days off from starting. They'll probably get in the game somehow. A double switch, a pinch hit, defensive replacement, whatever. So they're going to play. You got to remember, if you look through every roster and you look through guys who play and don't play, there's a lot of young players who don't just grind out 162 straight games, or in Brendan's case, however many games we got left, 120, 115, I don't even know the number. It's hard. It's hard to do. So these guys will need breaks here and there, whether it's a day off from starting or something along those lines. So, but I suspect that if he plays well and shows what he can do, he'll get a number of at bats that I think will satisfy all of us.
Okay, and then just for you as a manager, when you're staring at that game, that day, that night, I guess what I'm wondering is how difficult is it to juggle things that are more than just the hot hand, issues that are more than just who's hot at the moment.
Well, and that's part of managing, right? I think that's managing people. In our case, my case, managing innings, managing at bats, managing game starts. That's part of what we do. And based on our experience of how to handle players, try to do what's best for the team first and what's best for the player. And they usually match up. So, it's part of this job description.
Gotcha. Thank you, buddy.
Yeah.
Last one's from Owen.
Hey, buddy. Along those lines of what some people may call an embarrassment of riches, with the rotation, if you've got Kyle coming back in, you've got, I think, until June 7th without a scheduled off day. Do you see somebody in the rotation going to the bullpen if Kyle comes back, or do you see them going to the minors?
I'll probably see that whoever that is going to the bullpen. And this is I don't know whether it's a problem, but this is not a bad situation to have, moving forward when you have, if Kyle's part of the mix, to have 6 good starters. And it's a little bit of a bummer for the guy that, gets sent to the bullpen. But again, in the big picture of the 162 game season, and just based on where we were last year with 60 games and guys coming on, 50, 60 innings of starters at most, and then jumping to, what could be 180 or 170 to 200 or, wherever starting pitchers end up this year as far as innings total. We're going to need multiple guys with talent and ability to start these games. For us, knock on wood, cross our fingers, that relatively healthy in that department, with the exception of Kyle's, spring training.
And to switch gears, starting today, fans won't need to wear masks at Coors Field. And just curious if protocols are changing for the team in any way.
They haven't. I did see that, so I think that is a sign of good things to come in the future for all our country and hopefully worldwide. But as far as the MLB protocols and guidelines, nothing is new with us, in the last few days. I'm hearing things could loosen in the coming weeks based on, I think, the number of teams and their vaccinations. Again, like I said before, we're one of the handful of teams, and there's maybe more starting again this evening that, have that, threshold of vaccinations. And, again, proud of the organization, proud of our players for taking the shot and getting us in a situation where we don't have to wear masks outside. We're still, wearing them in and around the clubhouse, and but we got a very high, almost 100%, vaccination percentage on our players, coaches, staff, which we're very proud of.
Great. Thank you, buddy.
Okay, guys, thanks.
Thank you, buddy. Thanks, everyone. We'll talk to you post game.